I'm thinking something like... Illumination, that's how I feel about you and you.
Thank you. I'm receiving that.
Thank you. Dude, I want to say we talked about it a little at the beginning, but I didn't want to like take away from Suz's interview. My family watches National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation every Thanksgiving.
Really?
Yeah.
I love it. It's one we grew up watching all the time too. So I love it.
What a treat. It was really nice to like, you know, when someone else has seen a movie that you love so much and can quote it, it's like, it lights me up.
Oh yeah. I could quote a lot in that movie.
That makes me...
They want you to say Grace. Grace, she died 30 years ago. Sorry.
Oh, and that's one of my mom's favorite movies. So just to have this moment is really nice.
Yes.
That's so great.
And my dad's favorite part was when Chevy Chase goes off when he realizes he didn't get the bonus.
Yeah.
And I can't say the whole thing by memory, but holy shit, where's the Tylenol? Yeah. My dad would crack.
We're gonna have the happiest Christmas since Gene Kelly danced with. Yes. Oh, that's so great. Anyway, your dad loved that movie?
Loved it. We watched it every year. Yeah.
Oh my God.
Mm-hmm. Jeez. So we had a wonderful guest.
Yes.
A good friend of yours.
Yes.
And now a new friend of mine.
Oh, I love when two people I love meet. I'm like vibrating in my body. You know?
Get along.
Yeah.
Love each other.
I'm going to leave. You guys stay in this room and become friends. Yeah. It was so nice. It was the first guest in the studio, which is really dope.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
We have cameras in here.
Angles.
Hi.
How did you feel about the conversation?
It was nice. I like that it touched on some things we haven't really talked about on the podcast yet, as far as she grew up in the Middle East and what that experience has been like and how that's living out today, family dynamics of culture. So I love those kind of topics. I think they're important and not talked about enough. So I'm glad we got to kind of put that on this platform.
I totally agree. And it's really cool that like you being, I don't want to say his name because I don't know, but your partner, like that's kind of a new thing that you've been learning too. So it was cool.
Brand new to me when we started dating.
Yeah.
And not really realizing all the nuances of I don't know if you call it nuances, but for me, the lack of education I had and awareness I had around those experiences that weren't white, honestly.
Yeah.
And I've been doing work to undo a lot of that anyway. And so this was like another added thing that you don't realize is a really big part of people in our community. It's not something happening very distant, in another part of the world. It's here and it's with the people we know and the experiences. They don't get recognized,
So true.
As she even kind of talked about, like, didn't recognize it for herself.
And that's what I was thinking too, because like we've been friends for a while, but she's like, you've heard all this. But when she said that, I was like, but I haven't heard all of it.
Yeah.
Like I'm sure in
How did
passing.
that feel?
I mean, I just love her, like, oh no, I'm going to cry. I just like, there's just like, I don't think you'll ever hear all of anybody's story.
Right.
You've heard this part and that part, but you'll never hear all of it because there's, I feel like everybody has parts that they don't even know yet.
Yeah.
That they haven't shared. So like, it's an ongoing, story for everybody.
We're like onions.
Yeah.
Keep peeling layers back.
Exactly.
Yeah. Do you feel like you got to see a new layer with your friend?
Oh, for sure.
Oh,
and I've
good.
seen her grow so much, and it's like, I feel like every time we do a podcast, I'm like, I could talk to someone way longer.
Yeah.
But like, especially knowing someone, I'm like, I'm just grateful that we know each other.
Yeah.
It's great. Yeah. And that I know you. I love you so much. Listen, y'all thought we were going to be different and not be saying I love you at the end of these?
No. Every time.
I truly, and you're just so, the way you talk to people is so warm, like a favorite blanket.
Oh,
yeah.
Thanks.
It's really, and then you lift up the blanket and there's like a piece of chocolate under there. That's how I feel. I love hearing you talk.
That's really sweet.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I love you so much.
I love you too.
And thank you guys for listening. Oh yeah. Our producer. They're like, what? Just dance with me for a little bit. We have a new paywall platform, Substack.
Yeah.
It is amazing, so easy to navigate. Also, you get to see video of the paywall, which is great. We've been having
That's new.
Yeah. Used to it was just our voices, but now you get to see us. We have to put on clothes now. It's very annoying.
We used to do it naked.
Yeah. Which if you paid $10 a month, we might go back to. We want it. You want it. Everybody wants it. No, but it's only $5 a month, and you get paywall episodes, which are really good. It's me and Melanie talking to each other and getting like behind the scenes.
Yeah,
Also,
just digging deeper into topics we talk about here, and then just some of our own personal stuff. Typically, we're like, "What's going on in our lives? Let's talk about it." So,
yeah. And then there's new features too, where we're able to comment back, interact with you. I'm wanting to do some private videos, not like that. Oh my God, calm down.
Some little foot action.
It's like a foot therapy thing. It's really great. No, I want to do some videos that are just for the Substack subscribers. Melanie's thinking about writing. So like it's going to be very interactive and cool over there. $5 a month. Access it through our Instagram bio or DM us if you can't find it, but it should be super easy. And thank you for being here. We love you guys.
Yeah, thanks. Enjoyed the episode. Did I do that? You know what that's from?
Yes.
What?
Family
Matters.
Oh, yes, that too. I said Urkel.
Yeah.
But that's not what was in my head when I did it.
What was in your head?
The little old lady in National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation.
Oh.
Right when he goes, break wind.
I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America.
She wrapped up her damn cat.
I know.
Yeah.
And to the republic.
They're all like, okay.
And you know how she goes, play ball at the end? I would say play ball every time when I was a kid. I thought that was part of it.
That is so cute.
Like every time we got finished saying it, and I would be like, play ball.
That is freaking cute.
Anyway, I was a cute little kiddo.
You're so cute, kid.
Okay, here we go.
So, Suz, oh my gosh, it's crazy that you're here.
I agree.
We started in Chicago together.
Oh.
Yes.
Yeah.
I know y'all are good, tight friends.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Tight. We'll just start casually. How about on the way over here?
Yeah.
I was afraid you were going to bring this up.
What happened?
On the way over.
I mean, I
She
tried
kept
calling.
on saying, she tried saying, save it for the podcast.
Oh. Well, I tried calling and you didn't answer and
Oh,
responded
you
with.
did? I didn't see that.
Yeah.
I didn't see that you could try to call.
Oh, and then you texted back and said, it's kind of stressful right now. We'll be there as soon as we can. I'm
Yeah.
like, okay.
Yeah. It's just a lot was planned,
Yeah.
you know?
Just
like,
hard to squeeze it all in.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then I canceled one thing that was after this, and I was like, that was the right move to cancel that. It's always nice to like make a decision.
Yeah.
But you said something that I relate to because I've been there. I was just stressed, you know? I was like I'm like trying to manage it, but I'm like, and Sue said something along the lines of, if I'm quiet and don't move, it'll get better.
I was like, just don't move. It'll stress her out. And she's already stressed out right now. So just like, but she looked over at me and she's like, are you sitting comfortable? And I was like, no.
She was up in the windshield. She's like, and then she moved comfortably, and we both took a deep breath. We were like, oh, like, because you're okay.
Yeah.
And she was like, well, I thought if I didn't move, you wouldn't be mad at me.
Well,
I didn't say mad, but also I just was like, don't make a move. You know, like it's already stressful. Like,
is that your go-to?
Yeah. No.
When you're in stressful situations?
It depends.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like my energy just like calls for what I'm needed to do.
Mm-hmm. Can you say more about that?
Okay, I've been through like really severe situations where my brain will just shut down and I'm just like, go, 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 go. You just got to get to the next checkpoint, the next checkpoint, the next checkpoint.
Yeah.
And then, but I think because I've healed for like, I've done so much healing and I've done so much like therapy that now it's like, yeah, I could sit and do nothing and say nothing. And I feel like I'm not going to cry or like, cause yeah, I think I cried a lot too when I didn't know how to handle like a situation. Like I was like, it's just like too intense. But then I had this one therapist that was like, hey, can you like name your feeling? Can you like really, you know, like identify the word, not just say mad, but like, you know, oh, I'm feeling scared or like, you know, and that helped a lot.
Good.
Yeah.
So you've been to therapy.
Yes.
What was that like, or what took you to therapy?
We'll
start there.
Oh my God. I had a traumatic upbringing. You know me, so it's like you actually know what I've gone through, which is, yeah, but like you're probably like traumatic to say the least, but
Wait, what do you mean?
Like, I don't know. I feel like I downplay how traumatic my situations are. And then like I start talking and I see people's faces like change. And I'm like, oh yeah, no. But yeah, I was like, oh, ignorance is not bliss. I want to know more in life. And I want to know like, you know, how not to do the things that were like really toxic in my upbringing. And I had to go to therapy to like undo a lot of patterns that like got me to where I was.
Yeah.
But that's something big because your family doesn't do therapy.
No.
It was like moving away.
Yeah. I lived in Seattle and then I moved to Chicago in 2016. And it was like really taking myself out of like Seattle was my hometown and like growing up there and stuff. So like I was finally able to like look at my life from the outside lens.
Yeah.
And just really be like, oh, whoa, like this is not how I want to be living. I don't want to be like my parents. And also like, I feel like I was always like on the search for a relationship. And I was like, I took this class where we talked about baggage and like, if you're in a room with someone, like write down all the baggage that you have. And this is what you're bringing into the relationship with you. And I was like, I just need to work on a lot of this baggage because I don't want to bring this into a relationship and have so much like trauma come with me. But also like, it's not just like a relationship. That's like all your relationships that you have. Like you're bringing some sort of luggage or I feel like baggage is too intense of a word. It's like, I feel like people say baggage is like regret, but just like the things that I've collected along the way. So yeah.
What about, because I'm sure people listening resonate with when we tell stories, you know, and what of your story do you think people might identify with that if they hear you say, here's what I've experienced, and then you went to therapy, you got out of, I don't know if you got out of your hometown or got out of that family situation that allowed you to kind of break through and break cycles. Because I hear you saying like you did that, but I'm curious, like what is the trauma, whatever you want to share of like, what are, you know, we all can look back and we know these like things, these like pointed memories and experiences we've had that like, I know that affected me.
Yeah.
And then if you've gone to therapy, you know how you move through some of it, or maybe you're still working through it. But I hear you say relationship patterns. That's got to go back to family and relationship with parents.
Totally.
So what have you identified as your story that's really impacted like who you are now?
Yeah. Okay. Well, I grew up in a really toxic family environment where it was a lot of like, don't say this, don't do that, don't, you know, breathe wrong because then people will take it the wrong way. And
very controlling.
Very controlling.
People pleasing.
And yes. And I also like grew up I'm Arab, so there is like that other element to it, because now you have society that also is judging you,
that you need to fit
that
in
you need to
with.
fit in
Yeah.
with. And I was like the scapegoat of the family. I was never like really, I never felt like I fit in like anywhere. And then you add like the Arab element.
Yeah.
And I didn't feel like I fit in with the community as much either. Like, even though, and that's not to say like they weren't great people. It was just like being bigger. I've always been in a bigger body, like, or, you know, I don't know, just I was always a tomboy. I didn't really fit like the standard, like, oh, you're a girl. And, you know, I loved pink, but like I wasn't like,
Yeah.
you know, a girly girl.
So a lot of layers telling you it wasn't okay to be who you were.
Exactly. Which is hilarious because, you know, I was always so loud and my laugh is crazy. And, you know, I wasn't very demure. But
It's so interesting because I see you as a girly girl.
I feel like because now I'm like comfortable to be both.
Yeah.
You know, I think I had to like live in my masculine energy to like protect myself a lot.
Absolutely.
And then like once you kind of like feel like, oh, like I'm taken care of, like, you know, I was able to like step into more of my feminine energy. But like I didn't feel safe to step into my feminine energy because I was like, screw this. Like,
You had to protect yourself, be a harder shell.
Exactly. And so that's funny just because like my therapist was like, wow, and then you became a stand-up comedian, which is like no matter what your parents did or what like the things that happened, like it's you still became who you were meant to be. And I was like, oh yeah, that's a really good point. I didn't really let people stop me.
Yeah.
When I was 12, I went through a war. I got stuck in Lebanon, and it's like the summer war of 2006. So that was just like another traumatic event. Like, you know,
another traumatic.
Yeah. See, that's the thing that I say that I feel like I'm so used to saying it, but then I say it out loud and people are like, you did what?
So that was a bummer.
Yeah, I was like, it was a bad summer, and then I moved on.
Not a hard summer.
I mean, I think we all discount our trauma. Like we all, unless it's like the really big things we typically hear, being assaulted or something like that.
I was assaulted by. No, I'm just kidding. By war. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. We can cut that out, right? Okay, cool.
Well, I feel like my partner's from Iran, and when he first shared stories around,
first of all, I'm sorry. No, I'm just kidding. I'm so sorry.
What did you mean by that?
Oh, he's just a brown man. I can relate. So,
oh,
no,
well,
I'm sorry.
The experiences he had, it felt very normalized, and I would say Americans, we never really had to have war here. It's we're always removed for it, and so it feels very foreign and not really understanding what that really means to go through something like that. Just like for, I don't know, what would a typical trauma for an American be that keeps it separate, but that's a very unique kind of trauma that a lot of people, and especially a lot of clients I work with, they don't experience that. So that's why I kind of pointed that out, that it makes sense. It feels normalized to you.
Totally.
And why maybe some people are like, what? Because they can't even imagine it.
Yeah. No, totally. I think I just like being there, and I had a chance to leave, and like a lot of people don't have a chance to leave, and they don't have a chance to like for me, they sent I have cousins from Australia too. Australia sent, you know, their army or whatever to come get us, or like they used resources to come get, you know, Australians, and then United States used their resources to come take out the Americans out of Lebanon. But like people that live there, it's really up to your community to change what's going on around you, because the government is not there for the people, unfortunately. And so it's just, when you see that, it's like, how can I make a big deal out of it? Like I can leave, but
It's almost like survivor's guilt.
for
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
100%. I do feel like a lot of like families like escaped Beirut when Israel was bombing Beirut, and I saw families of like 13 people like just stranded with no home. So it's like, me getting excited too, which I did get excited, and then later I was like, oh, why did you get so excited? Like these people can't like leave.
For you to leave?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, of course you did.
Yeah. I think that I was like, oh, that was so insensitive for me to be like.
But how old were you?
I was 12.
Yeah.
I didn't know any better, did I?
No. But also, I mean, even if you're an adult, I think who wouldn't be like, I'm going to
thank God I'm
get
leaving.
To change my life, save my life.
Yeah.
By getting to leave a war-torn area.
Yeah.
But I think you can feel sad for those that have a different story than that and don't have the power or means to leave, and you did. I feel like you can have both. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you for saying that.
Yeah.
No, yeah, totally.
How does it feel now to see the things that are going on in the Middle East right now?
It's like, I feel like from my parents always having talked about how like Lebanon was just this war-torn country. Like, I think I'm not surprised. It doesn't surprise me, but it's like it's so sad. Whereas like back then we didn't really have media like we do today that like will show you like what's really, really happening. And it's just so heartbreaking. Like I do have to take a break at times because I'm like, okay, this is now like another kid that doesn't have a home and and lost their parents and lost everything. Like, it's just so heartbreaking.
Yeah. And there's a powerlessness of like, what do you do about it? And
exactly.
Like to write to your congressman doesn't, you're like, there's nothing to actually
doesn't feel active enough.
Yeah. It doesn't feel tangible.
I do think that, exactly. I think that, after going through what I went through, I don't really have very much like trust in things working out. Like, and that's just like up to the governments, and like the governments are all just corrupt, people. Like even in Lebanon, like people are just in it for the money or whatever. Like everything is just so corrupt. So it's like, unless those things change, like I don't really see the situation like getting better. But I do think that like the strikes and people marching and like being like, hey, we're paying attention, like has made some progress, so that's like really beautiful to see as well, where it's like people are like, no, I'm not going to let this go. and Lebanon, Syria, and Palestine like have a lot of attention now coming towards them, which is really, really good. So I do have some faith, but it's like it's so soon. Like I really just don't think that like I'll be alive when the Middle East becomes peaceful again.
Yeah.
Damn.
So
that's interesting.
I'm like trying not to like let the FBI like tap my phones, but also trying to be like, I mean, everything's okay.
What was that?
It's fine. Everything is okay.
You sound like me not wanting to lose TikTok. Every day I'm like, I love China. I love China. I love China. This, when you were like, I can't remember exactly what you said, but it was basically like, I don't have hope for, how does that, I don't know, that just, what am I trying to ask? What does that feel like? I don't know. Is that painful to say, or are you just like, yeah, that's just the facts?
I think that I'm just like, that's the facts for me, but also like people go to Lebanon all the time. Like people are in Palestine all the time. Like people are this will go on, wars will happen, and like people will still go enjoy their time in these countries.
Yeah.
Like, so that's kind of how I see it. It's like my dad will go back to Lebanon and live there. It's not like, so it's not terrible.
Right.
But like, I do think that like the media makes it very like intense, and like people enjoy going to Lebanon. It's like a very fun place to go to. Beirut is beautiful. Like so I think that's kind of how I see both. You know what I mean? Like like really shitty things happen there, and then you have to take a break, and obviously people come back, and then once things are better again, they're gonna be down there all summer having a blast.
For sure.
Yeah.
It is sad because like if like United States like had Trump for president for the next 60 years, like, yeah, I'm not going to be happy. That sounds terrible. Like, and that's what it's like over there, but we're still living. We still are, waking up every day, going to our favorite coffee shop or like, whatever.
Yeah.
Both can exist.
Yeah. Wow. Whoa, I just got therapized and
I love how that just clicked in. Your face, you were like, ah. Wow. I love seeing the light bulb come on.
I want to come back to this. It's not like your boyfriend is a bad person. I just was like,
I knew she'd bring that.
I have to bring it back up because I'm like, no, that's
well, what did that bring up in you?
I just like, I'm around a lot of Arab men all the time, and Arab men are very like, I'm masculine.
Oh no, and he's Persian and lots of. He's like half feminine, half masculine. It's like perfect.
Oh, that's so
mix.
Great. Honestly, so
he cries more than I do.
Like, no, I actually love that. My boyfriend is kind of similar. Like the other day, I was like, hey, like, I don't get offended by this, but I think I have a crush on the CEO shooter. And he was like, no, me too. And I was like, I felt so seen in that moment. I was like, thank you so much for getting it.
Don't get offended by this. I am interested, like, it's hard to just be like, this happened. But last night we were going to that Turkish place and Odessa.
It's so good.
It's so good.
I literally think about it all the time in Chicago.
She's like, I've been thinking about this place for a year. Can we please go?
Can we please go?
First time I ate there, Amber took me. And then I took my partner there, and he's like, this is good.
It's banging.
Yeah.
The little chicken swords.
So
my God.
That's what I got.
So good.
Anyway, y'all went there to eat.
Yes. And you made a comment about like, oh, I'm going to wear sweatpants. Like the people there are going to judge me.
Yeah.
Or like, but I've heard,
not just where we are. We're in Nashville.
No, yeah.
But like,
brown people judgment is just different. It hits different. For a while, I had to really, like, I would always be like, because my friend and I, we would go like smoke weed outside in Seattle. And I'd be like, I know that there are some Arab people that live in this area. So I just want to make sure that, we're fine. And she's like, can I swear? On
yeah.
She's like, fucking chill. You act like the FBI is chasing you all the time.
More just worried about if Arab
yeah. Gonna see me smoking weed and like tell my mom and dad. And like, I'm like a 22-year-old. Like, they're gonna know.
That's an ingrained thing then.
100%.
Yeah.
I think that I'll never lose it, to be honest.
Well, there's you don't want to lose it all, but where is it? Where does it create problems or struggle and make things harder, and where is it helpful? Always look at things as a percentage. I'm always like, what percentage of that do you want to let go of? And we keep a little bit because it helps. Just like anger, don't get rid of all your anger. It's a helpful tool to notice what pisses you off because you care about it. Mm-hmm. So you don't want to get rid of all of it. So what would you want to keep? What would you want to let go?
That's amazing. I love that. I actually love that. I think that to just not be always in like a state of flight.
Yeah.
I think that's where I would love to like lose that, because it's like it's that like, oh, how am I going to fix this problem that hasn't even arisen yet, but like I'm creating one because, you know, I'm afraid that it might happen.
Do you know your Enneagram number?
No.
Okay, I'm just curious. You sound like 6. Because I'm a 6.
You feel the same way? You do that?
Yeah.
Well, in different aspects, but you're looking for where things can go wrong so you can try to prevent it from happening. And it does keep you in a state of fight or flight your whole life until you learn to move that energy back into present moment and trust you'll be able to handle what comes.
Yeah. I think the war probably did that to me.
Absolutely. in such a like major way that's different than what a lot of people experience. Like
totally.
That's a body memory there.
100%.
Yeah.
100%.
Even noises. And you have to. Yeah, that's a body memory. So it's letting your body know it's safe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm learning so much today. This is like so freaking nice.
I'm glad.
It's nice.
Isn't she great?
She's wonderful. Yeah. Both of you guys are wonderful.
Thank you. When you because you talk about the war on stage, what was that like? Because I feel like Melanie was saying, a lot of people here haven't experienced something like that. So do you have to like break down war, or like, was it funny right away?
I imagine some people would feel uncomfortable laughing at it.
That's why I kind of stopped, especially
really?
right now in the climate that we're in. Like,
stop using the jokes.
Stop using the jokes, the war jokes, because I felt like people would hold their breath, and I also think that I feel like people are really afraid to be asked the question, "What side you're on?" Because I feel like people are all of a sudden put into this political climate. And like with our political climate being so the way that it is, like people are like, I don't want to offend anyone. I don't want, like, if laughing at this might be really insensitive. And it's like, no, like, I'm laughing at this now because like I can, you know, I probably wouldn't joke about it if I wasn't over it. But yeah, people do tend to be like, you know, and so I'm chilling on it right now. But it's, I don't know. I feel like almost when I do talk about it, people want to know more, and then it kind of takes away from the joke, because you like in stand up, it's so like, okay, how can you get to set up punchline as fast as you can? Yeah. And so like if I do put in a lot of details, because I do see people being like, what? And like, and have those questions like in their brain. And so it's like, yeah, I do kind of have to like add more to the setup, and then it just takes away from the joke, and people don't catch the punchline, which the joke is basically like, I say, you know, I wake up one night because there are bombings outside. They're bombing a bridge, and I go through my kitchen because we're on the top floor, and I like see my uncle, and I talk to him for a little bit, and he's blind in his eye. So I asked him, I was like, you know, no, it's funny. He's like blind, and he's making tea, and it's like the most calm it's like something really calm to do, like while there is a bombing happening outside. But he also is trying to say that he could like see the future with his eye, because I was like, is everything going to be okay? And he was like, no.
Oh, no.
It's like, well, yeah, there's a bombing happening outside. Like, that's why it's a no. But I like walk out onto the roof, and I see the bomb like come, like I see the plane like over the bridge, and the panels open, and this missile comes out. It's the biggest thing I've ever seen. That's what she said. And I just like, it comes down on the bridge. It explodes. It's like crazy. I feel the wind, you know, and I kind of step back from the impact, and I was like, oh fuck. And my uncle slams through the screen door, and he grabs my arm, and he's like, don't swear. And that's the joke. But I feel like when I try and tell him, like, it's a war between Hezbollah and Israel. It was in 2006. Like, this shit was happening. They bombed like 4 out of the 7 lanes at the airport. I couldn't leave.
Oh my God.
And it's just like, yeah, it's not funny.
Yeah.
Nothing's funny about Hezbollah and Israel. So
Fuck.
you told me not to do that, and I did it. So I'm sorry. I'm so sorry.
Let's just cut this whole thing.
You're right. Okay.
Yeah.
If I don't move, maybe.
You've come a long way in your relationship with your parents.
Mhm.
Like, the things that they put you through, I think you were saying earlier where you just like say things that they said to you.
Mhm.
And me and I'm sure other friends will be like, the fuck? The fuck?
Yeah. Yeah.
But you still talk to them and you still see them. And you still hang out with them.
Did they
Yeah.
still do that?
They've stopped doing a lot of the things that, like, my parents used to weigh me weekly and like take things away if I
Like food?
like no, well, they would just buy healthy food and I would find a way to eat junk food and things like that. But so like everything was like really centered around my weight growing up. And so, but now they've changed a lot in the sense of like, they don't try and control what I eat. I think now they're like, so are you like, do you go to the gym or like what? And that's like so not as bad as what they used to be, but
It's not as bad.
yeah,
But it's bad.
it's bad. Yeah. I feel like well, I read Children of Emotionally Unavailable Parents.
Mhm.
And that book absolutely changed my life.
Yeah.
And it just gave like a meaning to the way to what how my parents treated me or what they were like, and like scientific like language that, like was like, oh, that's what my brother is, or like, oh, that's what my mom and my dad do. And it gives you like different examples of like how to it gives you different examples of like how to like try and fix your relationships with them, or like how to talk to an emotionally unavailable parent. And one of the things that the book suggested was to cut my parents off.
Ooh.
Because it was like sometimes these things are not going to change. And at least that's what I remember. But that book helped me be like, okay, I think I'm just going to cut my parents off. Like, I just need to. And I think that kind of taught them that like, oh, like she knows that she can make choices in her life. Because that was a really big choice. And like something about like Arabs is like family is like number one, very important, no matter like how toxic your family is. He's your dad, he's your brother, he's your mom. Like, come on, you got to forgive them. It's like, I had to be like, enough, and like step away from them to work on myself so that when I did see them again, inevitably, like them saying things won't affect me to like how much it affected me when I was like a kid.
Yeah.
The last thing I'll add to this is just like, when you're a kid, you just don't know any better. You're a kid, like you're still learning. But when you become an adult, it's like you can't blame your parents. You can, but I didn't want to blame my parents anymore for how I was acting or how I carried myself, or like, oh, well, my parents did this and that's why I'm like this. I just didn't want to do that anymore. I wanted to be like, okay, I own up to my actions, and now I have to get help, and now I have to go to therapy and know better, because I can't do whatever the hell they did as parents.
Yeah. Right.
So yeah.
Yeah, I always say as an adult, we're responsible for healing. We're not responsible for what was done.
Mm.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. I think that also, like, as I'm a very highly sensitive person, and so spirituality is kind of like been my go-to to like, just like ease some of the pain in my life. And yeah, I I don't want to be in pain anymore. It's just like, it's just a waste of time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Being in pain is a waste of time.
It is.
Pain is a huge catalyst for growth.
Yeah.
I wish we didn't need it to grow, but unfortunately that's how that works sometimes.
Absolutely.
And
I think that I feel like I sat in it for way too long.
Yeah. That's good to name
And
that.
then I was like, okay, because you're right. It definitely made me stronger. It made me who I am today. And I'll never take that back.
Yeah. And with the parent thing, I see a lot of clients, they're like, well, they did the best they could. And even when we try to understand, well, they had a lot of trauma. Their parents did that to them. And it's helpful in trying to understand your parent. But I'll say, even if they did the best they could, that does not mean that your needs were met.
Exactly.
And that you weren't harmed in the process. And there's boundaries to be had. You don't have to go straight to cut off. If they're just not safe and super toxic, then that might be needed for a time or permanently. But learning to have boundaries, and you got to fix what that childhood did, the messaging that it gave you about yourself and the world. Because when you said, like, I grew up in this environment, like, that's what you learned about. That's how you learned about the world and how it works, is through that environment in your family home. And you kind of have to relearn all of that and reparent that little you that just held on to those words, Yeah.
I would get really, really frustrated because sometimes it's like I got the concept, like I knew what it would take to like get better, but I would like beat myself up in the process. And I had a therapist just be like, Suz, like, how long did it take you to have this pattern? It took you 27 years? Guess what? Like, it's going to take some time to like break out of that.
Yeah.
And after like, it's just about perspective, right? Like I was like, oh, yeah, I have been doing that for a long time. So, of course, it's going to be a hard thing to break.
What does it look? Because your dad was just visiting you for like a week.
Yeah.
What does it look like moving through? Because I'm sure he says some things where you're like, that's some old shit.
Yeah.
What does it look like interacting with him now? Like,
I feel like there are some things that I will snap and I will be like, shut up. But I do feel like I let a lot go and like let a lot like, what's the word?
roll off your back.
Roll off. Yeah, exactly. Roll off my back. Because I'm like, he's 70 years old. All he wants to do is just share his wisdom. And I don't necessarily have to agree with his wisdom, but I feel like that's just where he's at in life. And I don't take him as personally, and I don't blame him for a lot of the things. A lot of my anger is not really like there.
Yeah.
So I'm like, okay, like it's like better to be around him, but it's also like I had to understand, like, this person is never gonna like respect a boundary. This person doesn't know what boundaries are. So as long as I'm okay with that, like, okay, but like a lot of people are not okay with that, and that's fine. You can take what you could tolerate, but it's like, I'm not going to let this moment like ruin my life anymore.
Yeah.
And by ruin my life, I mean, like, I'm not going to be like, oh my God, like, Dad, you're the worst. Like, you just like, I don't know. I'm trying to be like a teenager again, but like, slams the door in his face. I think I'm just like, okay, I need a moment away from you. And that's okay.
Yeah.
And what's great is my dad stayed in an Airbnb, and I think that helped a lot.
Oh, yeah.
Like, distance makes the heart grow fonder,
for sure.
like, so yeah.
I think it's okay that you like, you were saying there were times when you were like, I think that's okay too. Because it's like,
I haven't like talked to my brother in a really long time. And apparently my brother said hi to me. And I was like, oh, okay. And he's like, you're supposed to say hi back. And I looked at him and I was like, why the fuck would I say hi back to someone I haven't talked to? Like, what do you mean? Like, and it was just after we had like a 2-hour conversation. Like, I was like, oh, my dad finally gets me, And so it's like having to go back to like, okay,
he is this way.
He is this way. And he's 70 years old. He's changed as much as he possibly could. He's not going to change, and I think that my dad has gotten so much better. And I think he's gotten way more patient. He used to have no patience. So I have to give him kudos when I can, because he was terrible. He was 30 times worse. So, if I could see him in his old age, hell yeah. I'm glad. I'm glad I get to spend this time with him for sure before he dies.
Yeah.
What did doing comedy? What does it do for you with all this? Your past and your stuff. What made you choose it, and how does it How do you feel it gives to your life?
I feel like honestly, the reason probably why I chose it was because I got that instant validation. Because I never got it from my family. I never really got it from from school, or I was never really smart, but I was funny, and it gave me that instant gratification of oh, okay, at least I'm valid at this. I could be funny. But I think that also also I feel as an artist, when I first started out, I remember, and maybe it was just because I was in theater as well, but people were like, no, I don't want to take antidepressants because it'll make me different. It won't give me the emotion that I need. I'm an artist. And then as I've grown and healed, I'm oh no, healing and going to therapy has made me a better performer and more mindful and a better stage, and I have a better stage presence.
Yeah.
And so it switched from that validation to I just love doing this.
Love.
So yeah. But I feel it was so necessary for me. It was like therapy. It's so corny.
No, it's real.
But yeah.
And I just love, that's the reason behind this whole podcast really, is that you don't have to be miserable to be funny.
Yeah. I don't want to be.
It doesn't make stand-up fun,
can't.
being miserable.
No, it
doesn't
not.
make life fun.
No, exactly.
Yeah.
I wouldn't want to do a job that I had to be miserable to be good at.
Damn.
I just got fired from a job, and I was so miserable there. And people were like,
gift.
"Oh, I'm so sorry." Yeah, exactly. And now I'm yes, it was the best thing to ever happen to me.
It pushed you into a different direction. I think sometimes the universe is God damn it, I'm tired of waiting.
I know.
Yeah.
Here we go. Go ahead.
Yeah, because being fired isn't fun.
No,
No.
I think that after the shame of it, because you're I did something wrong. Oh no. But I think after that, I was oh,
bye.
The universe was just taking the trash out for itself.
Yes,
so true.
Yeah.
So yeah.
How we are starting to wrap up, but I am curious. Right now, you're looking for a job. How does that feel? Because I know, in my family, there was always work. Why aren't you working? I would be sick, and my granny's why aren't you at work?
Yeah.
I'm because I'm vomiting.
People wear it as a badge. I'm here working while I'm sick. And most people are don't
do that.
Yeah. No, totally.
That's the mentality I know of when I was growing up. That's
Same.
what made you valuable.
Yeah. Absolutely. Because I started working at 13, I was I want to do something for this family. But I feel oh my God, what was the question?
How are you feeling not having a job right now? And
after COVID, I feel people really take so much better care of themselves and their health, to the point where it's it's almost the opposite of what it used to be, where it's work is not everything. And maybe some people still live in that realm. That's totally fine. But I feel the more I talk to people and stuff, people are oh, enjoy this time. Enjoy this time.
Yeah.
When are you ever going to have a time like this again? Where you don't have to work. So yeah, I've just been enjoying myself. I feel good.
Love.
Okay.
I'm not getting the most money, but also I was working paycheck to paycheck, and that
Yeah.
It felt the same, but I'm not miserable.
Yeah.
You know?
Yes.
So I'm like, okay,
Yeah.
cool.
I'm glad
Yeah.
you feel good.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. It's everything is a blessing in disguise, you know?
Yeah.
A woman. Yes.
I love that. You guys are
God's a
wonderful.
woman. So, what were we gonna say?
I was just saying what I was about to say. Well, we always ask the question.
Oh yeah, I was gonna ask about.
But we're going to do the other one, right? We know each other's brains.
You ask. No, you.
it's your
I talk to her
question.
all the time.
Oh, so let me see if I can.
Just forget it. No
It's
one
true.
asked. Let's just go.
It's true.
Well, Amber asked a really good question on one of our paywall episodes.
Mhm.
And we both talked about what our answers were. And so we were like, oh, this would be a good question because we always kind of like to wrap up asking a question.
Mhm.
And it was, in a nutshell, what do you think you need to hear?
Ooh.
Yeah. Whether that's that little girl you, the you now that's in this place of some freedom with your
Mhm.
time and transition. Like, what do you need
Yes.
to hear right now?
Oh my gosh. Literally, instantly stop rushing.
Stop rushing.
Just stop rushing.
Yeah.
I feel like I have a lot of goals. And I think my ADHD brain is like, all right, go.
Yeah.
Come on.
Yeah.
You know, get to it. And
Yeah.
I just don't want to rush anymore. I feel like that's how so many things like fall apart, is because I'm rushing to do something and it just doesn't have as much like meaning or like hold to it, and I lose it quickly. And I'm just like, I need to just be in that
Slow it down.
moment.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Nice.
totally.
I like that.
Thank
I do
you.
too. I receive in that too.
Yeah.
Myself was like, that's good.
Yeah.
I hear that too. Fuck yeah.
Yeah.
Where can people follow you?
Oh my gosh. Ballout Comedy on Instagram, and I'm not gonna say TikTok
Why not? That's for you.
because TikTok may not be with us.
I love
long.
China. How dare you?
I'm sorry. I'm so sorry.
I don't think it's going
Um,
anywhere.
The way you're looking at me right now, you're like, don't say it. Don't say that.
Sorry, go ahead.
But yeah, just
If TikTok is still around.
but if TikTok is still around, I am Ballout Comedy on TikTok as well.
Okay.
So come find me. Come laugh with me.
Yes. Thank you for doing
Yeah,
this.
Thank you for having me.
It's
Oh my
so
goodness.
fun to talk to you.
So-
Thank you.
Oh, thank
Yeah.
you. You guys
Get to know a
too.
little bit of your story.
Thank you.
Kissing you both.
Appreciate I kissed you. Okay, cool. You didn't see me.
Who's receiving Amber's?
And
All right.
kiss to the producer.
Yeah.
Okay, we have to stop.
You don't even like
okay?
hugs, bro.
Thank you for listening to I'm Fine, It's Fine podcast. If you would like to continue to support us, please join us on our new Substack, which you can find at imfineitsfine.substack.com. We would love to connect with you there, and we can't wait to continue to grow this podcast with you. Additional ways you can support the podcast are by following us on Instagram at I'm Fine, It's Fine podcast. And you can follow Amber at Amber Autry Comedy, as well as Melanie at Trauma Therapy Nashville. We look forward to your support.